the Brihad Mridanga, and he revealed to Prabhupada that in a discussion in Radhakund, this is interesting, most of you don't know where this discussion took place. I do, not because I was there, but because I talked to the people who were there during that discussion. There was one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, his name was Gopinath Acharya, who had passed away, recently passed away, I think about 3 or 4 years ago. And anyone who has been at the house of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Radhakund, anyone's been there? Yeah. You might have met Gopinath, but he passed away actually. If you went the last 3 or 4 years, you wouldn't have seen him. But anyway, so he was there, and also Prabhupada had asked him to come to the West to help him. And Gopinath was thinking, when Prabhupada asked him to come to the West, this was after Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur passed away, we're just going forward in time a little bit. Gopinath was thinking, nothing will happen in the West anyway. So he didn't join Prabhupada, and for the rest of his life he was lamenting that he didn't join Prabhupada in the Western world. So anyway, so Gopinath was there, and he described that particular situation to me, where Prabhupada got that instruction from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it wasn't, as most people think, when they were walking on the banks of the Radhakund. It wasn't. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sitting on a swing inside his house. Anybody who's been in the house knows the main room there? Some of you have been in the main room, anyway, whatever. You've seen the main room. And so, if you look to the ceiling, you'll see 2 hooks in the ceiling. And from those hooks, they hung what we would consider to be something like a bed. But in India, it's considered very high class to have a swing in your house. You know, most, even middle class people, they have swings in their house. They swing. I actually have one in my house. I have 2. So anyway, so Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was sitting in this swing that was being held by ropes, I guess 4 ropes or something from the ceiling. And he was talking to Prabhupada, who was sitting there. And this is the scenario. I'm just trying to lay out the scenario. And then, of course, he said to Prabhupada, he was very frustrated at that point because his disciples were fighting with each other. And one of the reasons they were fighting with each other was that there was a new temple in Calcutta, the Bug Bazaar Moth Temple. And people were fighting over who would have what room. You know, they all wanted a nice airy room or something like that. I want the room with the ocean view. I remember, it's actually interesting, one time we arranged a temple in a place called Miami Beach for the devotees, and everybody was fighting over having a room with the ocean view. I wanted a room with the ocean view. So, of course, the devotees weren't able to take care of the temple too well. There was a swimming pool there, but the devotees couldn't figure out how to keep the water clean. So they filled it with dirt and made it a Tulsi garden. Typical ISKCON thing. So anyway, Calcutta, they were fighting for rooms. And as soon as there was money, you know, people were fighting, you know, this and that. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said to Prabhupada, if you ever get any money, print books. And then he made that famous quote, you know, that if I could sell the marble from the temples, and he was referring to that particular temple there because the devotees were fighting, I would do so to print books. So he's showing the importance of distributing books. Oh, and printing books too, spiritual knowledge. The reason for that, actually it's very interesting. People come to Krishna consciousness for various reasons, as Krishna says in the Gita, Chaturvidha bhajanti mam, right? People come because they're in distress, people come because they want prasadam, I know, as well. People come because they're inquisitive, and people come because they want knowledge. But actually, Krishna says, in the next verse, you know, I consider that, he says he considers now, the jnani, or the person who's actually fixed in knowledge, to be the best. So fixed in knowledge means you got to have some knowledge. In other words, to have knowledge, there has to be books. So by this book distribution, we're attracting people who are intelligent, the intelligent class of people. And Prabhupada specifically said that when I was asking Prabhupada about preaching in the university, he said, yes, preach in the university, attract the most intelligent class of people to our movement, because they'll be the leaders of the Krishna conscious movement. So this book distribution does that. It attracts the most intelligent class. So when they read our philosophy, and also they speak to the devotees who are supposed to be philosophical, aren't they? Prabhupada said the books are meant also for reading. And also the devotees should learn in general philosophy, you know, logic, reason, and everything like that. It's actually very important. So Prabhupada said we'll attract intelligent people. So anyway, so Prabhupada, taking this order of the spiritual master, made book distribution the primary initiative in the Krishna conscious movement, and practically everything happened in the movement because of book distribution. In fact, Prabhupada came to the West, and that's all he had was books. And another story. Yeah, I can tell you several stories about myself and Prabhupada. At one point, some of you have heard this story before, at one point in the movement, oh yeah, there's two stories. One story is that one time the devotees had spent a lot of money rebuilding a temple in ISKCON, you know, unnecessarily. They had spent a lot of money. The first thing Prabhupada said, and I was there, when he walked in to see the deities, he said, my spiritual master said you could sell the marble to distribute books. So it was just like, it was a shock, because the devotees had just spent an amazing amount of money just to put a lot of marble around the temple, whereas Prabhupada was pleased previously the way the temple was. Anyway, and another story involves me personally. I was with Prabhupada in his room in Srinam Mayapur during the evening darshans. Every evening Prabhupada would give his darshan, and he would have people come in, and devotees would talk to the devotees, would ask him questions, and then everybody would go to Sundar Arati. So at the end of the darshan, when everyone left, I introduced Prabhupada to our Sankirtan devotees. And at that point, that was after a very famous marathon in which our team from South America, it was actually, I was working in South America in Venezuela. Our team had defeated the famous Radha Damodar party in book distribution. And we were, of course, we were calling up Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Anyone here heard of Tamal Krishna Maharaj? No. Anyway, he was really heavy. He was called, at one particular point, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, we called him Hot Tamale. You know what hot tamale is? You know, that's a Mexican dish which has a lot of hot peppers in it and everything like that. So we were calling him up every day and challenging him, because Prabhupada very much appreciated the competition between the temples. And Prabhupada, in fact, said that whoever distributes the most books, I'll go there and stay. And so we were all competing to have Prabhupada come and stay with us. And of course, we had the Sankirtan newsletter, which Prabhupada read regularly. And so after this marathon, we had distributed, our team had distributed over 30,000 hardbound Gitas in 1 month. In a city roughly the size of Ljubljana.
30,000?
Yeah, 30,000.
Yeah.
30,000. Well, the way we did it is because we used to distribute books on the buses. In South America, you can get away with a lot more than you can here. Like anything goes. Devotees would go onto a bus with a load of books, give a book out to everybody on the bus, and go around collecting the money from them. And it worked. In fact, it worked so well that after the marathon was over, many of the bus drivers became Krishna conscious. Because they'd driven the Sankirtan party out. And so, because in South America they're very artistic, many of them painted pictures from the Bhagavatam on the buses. I don't know if anyone's seen stuff like this. I mean, in Latin countries it's like that. Anyone here from Spain? Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about. It's very, very artistic, emotive, it's very wonderful. It's like, I guess in Spain and also in Italy, people speak more with their hands like this than, just, and you see, I do it too, because I was in Latin America for so many years. So, so the buses had pictures. I remember going behind one bus and there was a picture of Haridas Thakur and the prostitute on the back. I was thinking, oh my God, what is this picture doing on the back of a bus? Can you imagine that? I thought, you don't know the story is that this prostitute tried to trick Haridas Thakur and he just kept chanting for 3 days and eventually she became a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of God. That's the story. But it had this girl and Haridas Thakur chanting Hare Krishna. And another bus there was Lord Nrsimhadev staring at you. So really you can see the effectiveness of preaching Krishna consciousness. So anyway, the devotee would get on the bus, give out the books, get the money, and then we had books stationed in different, let's see, in English, I forget I'm thinking in Spanish right now because I'm back there. So, different lugares, it's different places around the city, almacenes, around the city. So, and the devotees would pick it up, and then we didn't have cell phones at that time. So we used walkie-talkies, little radios. Okay, Chaitanya One needs more books. So we had books delivered all around the city. And in this way, we distributed over 30,000 hardbound Bhagavad Gitas in the city in 1 month. And sent in, I think it was about over $100,000 US to the BBT for that month. Yeah, we were up there. And so the celebration after the Sankirtan Marathon was a little bit more wild than your celebration. We were throwing the devotees up in the air in the middle of the kirtan, and the devotees were carrying me all around the temple room like this. I was scared. And so it was wild, but it was fun. So, and then one of those devotees had distributed 10,000 himself. Can you imagine? I mean, you can hardly imagine how many each second do you have to keep 10,000 books in 1 month. So, then, anyway, we went to see Prabhupada, and I was just naturally proud, here I am, TP, the best temple in the world. Better than Slovenia. So devotees, after Prabhupada's darshan, most of the devotees left, and I wanted to speak to Prabhupada personally to brag. So I said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, we distributed 30,000 of your Bhagavad Gitas in 1 month. Bhagavad Gitas, and Prabhupada's eyes open wide. And Prabhupada, basically, everything that Prabhupada was talking to the devotees about before became less important for Prabhupada, because Prabhupada was looking at temple construction, this and this, and that. So many devotees were talking about management, and then all of a sudden Prabhupada was riveted, that means was focused. And then I said to Prabhupada, I introduced Prabhupada to our book distributor who did 10,000 books in 1 month. I said, Prabhupada, this particular devotee, his name was Ramanujacharya, has done 10,000 of your book, of those 30,000. Prabhupada's eyes opened wide and he said, he has the mercy of Krishna. And at that point, I became envious. Because he had the mercy of Krishna. What about me? I was the temple president. I'm the organizer, the manager, the inspiration. No, it wasn't the inspiration. And then Prabhupada knew I was thinking like that. He said, he looked around at me and the other devotees and said, well, you all have the mercy of Krishna. He said, but, you know, when you say but after a sentence, it negates. Did you know that? He said, you're a nice devotee, but. You're horrible. Anyway, so then Prabhupada, he said, but it's just like the gopis, they're considered the best. And so, you know, Prabhupada was telling me that, you know, those who were going out in the front line preaching, it's not to negate anyone else's service. Actually, also Prabhupada said, those who organize and help facilitate the Sankirtan, they're also part of the Sankirtan army. It's like an army moves on its stomach, you know, that's this typical saying. Army moves on its stomach because, you know, there has to be a support troop. For every soldier that's out there in the field, there's several soldiers that have to be support of those soldiers. So, but Prabhupada was indicating that it was very dear to his heart, the distribution of his literature. And Prabhupada said when his literature is distributed, then he will never die, never leave the planet. Because Prabhupada is present in his books, it's an absolute fact. The transcendental sound narration, Guru Guru Padma Bhakya Chichite Kuriyakya, the transcendental sound narration coming from Prabhupada. And when people read the books, whether or not in the beginning they understand, I mean, eventually they'll get purified by doing that. I remember the first time I heard Prabhupada, I didn't understand what he was talking about. It was in 1971 again. First time I heard him in person. He was preaching at a university campus in the United States. And he started speaking about something that I could never understand at that point, which was he started talking about Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. He said in the beginning of creation, the Big Bang, there was Mahavishnu lying down in the causal ocean. And by his breathing, all the universes came out, and all the universes, he entered into each one as the Garbhodakshay Vishnu. And then from his navel, Lord Brahma came. I mean, I didn't know the difference between Lord Brahma and Napoleon. At that time, you know, what did I know? Lord Brahma, you know, who's that? So then Lord Brahma came, Lakshmi was massaging his feet. Lakshmi, who's that? And then Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So anyway, so Prabhupada was speaking all these, what I consider to be very esoteric facts about the Supreme Lord and the creation of this material world. And but by hearing, you know, there's some purification. Prabhupada even said that when he was giving a talk or lecture in a different language like Hindi, if the devotees would just sit and listen, they become purified. Because Golokera Premadana, Harinam Sankirtan. This sound vibration coming from the lips of the pure devotee has the saffron dust particles of the lotus feet of the Lord in the sound vibration and comes down from Goloka, Vrindavan. So I can assure all of you who are distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, you're getting closer and closer to Krishna and pleasing Srila Prabhupada very, very nicely. So this marathon, you can feel the spiritual energy. I was talking to some of the devotees who were visiting from different places, and they were saying this temple is just full of spiritual energy. It's there, it's the Shakti. And that's due to the preaching. energy and enthusiasm of the devotees. So do you want me to say anything else? It's all right. So you have awards for people, or?
His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj ki
Jai.
We will do a little, because time is a little short, we are a little behind, we will do some rescheduling. Se pravi, bomo spremenili današnji urnik, darila in video, tisto, kar je bilo napovedano, bomo dali v drugi priložnosti, bomo še razvijali drugi del tega festivala, še v času, ko bomo Maharaj šle, tako da bomo zdaj šli na zadnjo točko, to je na točko koncert, se pravi, ki so ga pripravili Sankirtan band, se pravi Dharma Prabhu, Bhakta Marko, Jagat Prasu Prabhu in Bhakta Denis, tako da rabijo oni 5 minut pripravijo. V tem času bomo samo par telegrafskih informacij dali glede rezultatov zadnjih, ki še jih niste slišali, tako da v tem času, ko bi Bhakti pripravili, bomo na to povedali. So we'll do, now the next program will be the concert, musical concert organized by Dharma Prabhu and devotees, and then in 5 minutes and I will say some about the numbers and the results which they were there. Hare Krishna. Slušalke, kdo ima slušalke slovenski? Oboje. Bomo povedal v slovenščini. Se pravi, Bhakte, ko sem prej omenil, 5 skupin je bilo na terenu in skupaj so preživeli 1700 ur terenskih ur, srečali v Sankirtanu oziroma v Harinami smo srečali preko 34,600 pozitivnih oseb. Podelili prasado, tudi tle je vključen prasadan, ki je bil podeljen v Radhe Govinda restauraciji, preko 8,000 jih je bilo podeljenih v Radhe Govinda restauraciji. Vse skupaj v decembru 29,600. Arrivo! 29,600 ljudi je dobilo prasadom v decembru. To je več kot 1% v Sloveniji. In pridobili smo 195 kontaktov. Arrivo! Odreženih je bilo preko 175 bakva maratonov. Arrivo! In podeljenih, sponzoriranih je bilo, po zadnjih informacijah, ki se stekajo non-stop še, 13,259 Prabhupadovih knjig. Šila Prabhupada, to je kar 3000 knjig več kot lansko leto. To je številka, katero se ga skupi. Tako da, najlepša hvala vsem vam, ki ste se udeležili, spevali, na kakšen drug način pripomogli. Še par informacij, se pravi na ulici, oziroma podeljenih je bilo 6000 knjig na ulici, 3890 je bilo sponzoriranih, 1180 so jih Bhakti vzeli domov za darila in 2260 je bilo podeljenih sponzoriranih, se pravi tisti, ko ste Bhakti doma imeli ali pa ki jih je nekdo drug sponzoriral, se pravi vse skupaj 13,259 Prabhupadovih knjig. Tako dali smo za pripravljanje. Tako da zdaj v tem konc tedna oziroma v teh dneh, ko še v Maharaj ne bomo izvedli drugi del tega festivala, ker bomo predvajali video reportažo iz maratona. Še pančata, Bhagavaniki, ker bomo tudi detaljno po teh kategorijah se pravi objavili rezultate. Rezultati bo tudi na vlastnem desku v internetu, ko se lahko detaljno pogledate in vsi boste dobili darila, ki ste bili udeleženci. Tako da najlepša hvala še enkrat za vašo sodelovanje, trud, molitve, podporo in zdaj pa vas ljudno vabimo k primernemu koncertu Sankirtan benda z naslovom Mantra Rock koncert. Hvala lepa. Ne še potem uiti, ker potem želite govoriti, da pripravljamo prosajam za vse vas. Tako da koncert bo traja približno
50 minut.
50 minut.